Good evening, and once again to Ideas at Work and Beyond. And you know, when you have a show that's called Ideas at Work and Beyond, it pretty much leaves it wide open to what you can talk about. And today we're going to see the broad spectrum that we bring to you here at Ideas at Work and Beyond. On one side, we have beautiful flowers. Dave, I don't know if you have this, but there's going to be a colorful pansies for sale in support of the Bethel Library. Is that right? The Bethel Library. There you have it. And this is a non-profit organization. Beautiful pansies. Actually, there's a sorority called the Tri-Delts, and they have a significance having to do with pansies. Don't ask me how I know that, but it's true. And you can go there, and you can look at the pansies, and you can smell the pansies, and more importantly, you can purchase the pansies in support of the Bethel Library. And I hope you come out April 24th. It will be right on the lawn, and buy pansies. Speaking of pansies, the Chicago Blackhawks are losing in their playoff. I think we have an old-time logo for the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, this is a team that I grew up watching. I lived for the Chicago Blackhawks. There they are, very old school, very politically incorrect, holding on to, things like that, which I know we'll get to. They're not exactly the Redskins. But the Chicago Blackhawks have not won a Stanley Cup for decades. And the only thing they're lucky is they play sports in the same town with the Chicago Cubs, and they're going on to a century of futility. But the Chicago Blackhawks are playing tonight against a team in Nashville, and I know what you're saying. Nashville, isn't that country music and grits and that kind of thing? Do they play hockey down in Nashville? Apparently they do, and the team from Nashville, the Predators, are actually beating the Blackhawks because the Blackhawks are playing like a bunch of pansies. And that's by way of introduction for this show. Tonight, don't worry, I have it TiVo'd. It's on Versus. If you have, satellite or something like that, you can watch it. But the Chicago Blackhawks, it's a shout-out to them. If you can't beat the Nashville Predators, you're going to hear it from me that you're playing like a bunch of pansies. Okay, I really didn't have anything else to say. Tonight, we're going to focus on an art form. The art form is film. We are delighted to be joined by David Bonin.
There you go.
And Marty, great name, Marty Lang. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Great to be here.
Thanks a lot. And Al Robinson is here all the time. And he's been very helpful in having these guests come in. Now, both of you are very involved with the Connecticut Film Festival, which will be here in Danbury again coming up next week, is it?
Week after, May 4th through the 9th.
May 4th through the 9th. Yep. And this is the third year in a row that they've hosted the film festival here?
Well, the way we do it is there's 2,500 film festivals around the country, and they all have to stand out somehow. So what we do is we do a traveling road show within the state of Connecticut at various universities and theaters, 10 to 20 events a year. And then at the very end, we do a week-long finale of 250 to 300 events. So it's like the coming home celebration for the Hat City.
Okay. And so this is the culmination of that.
Sure.
This is okay. So now if you're John Q. Public sitting at home and you have an interest in film, it's not your life passion, but you have an interest in it, you like to see the movies, what would you recommend that they come out and see in the next week or so?
Well, we have everything. We have 15 different genres, from student films to animations to shorts, music videos. 15 categories is a lot of categories, and something for everyone of all age groups.
And what are the different venues that people can go see these movies?
The Palace Theater for the third year in a row. So thank you to the Palace Theater and Joe DeSilva in the city of Danbury.
Now, is Joe DeSilva the guy who's in a little bit of trouble, or?
Why don't we focus on the Connecticut?
Let's focus on that. Should we?
No, we shouldn't.
We should just move along.
Let's move along.
Okay,
we can deal with that later.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, notwithstanding that comment, the Palace Theater, the Heirloom Arts Theater, the Danbury Public Library, the Danbury Music Center. We have a whole bunch of other educational, All Nations Baptist Church.
City Hall.
Common Council Chambers.
Congregational Church.
And various other educational areas.
Okay, and is there a fee to go see these movies?
There is, and it's really cheap. $7 before 6 o'clock.
Okay.
$8 after. 5 Pass, which is any event, any workshop or film, for $35. A 10 event for $65.
$65, yeah.
An all-access pass, $130, which will grant you access to anything you want to go to.
Okay.
And then there's a special other one, but everyone goes for the all access because there's so much to take in.
$35, all access. You can get into
115 films, 100 educational events between the two of us, 80 bands, all original, all independent.
Okay.
It's a lot of events.
All right. Now, Marty, you're a professor, actually, of film as well.
I am at Quinnipiac University. Yep.
Okay. Now, we were talking a little bit before that. They have a good hockey team. They have a good basketball team.
They do.
Quinnipiac College. Now, if I'm a student at Quinnipiac and I go to your class, is that an automatic A?
No, unfortunately for them, no. No, I'm kind of a tough professor, but I try to make it fun.
I mean, when I think of like, well, I'm going to take the movie, I'm going to take the, oh, and by the way, the phone number here is 792-4101. If there are any of Marty Lang's previous students that are out there, now's your time because it's anonymous. You can call in and you can give us a real scoop on his grade inflation or otherwise. But don't hesitate to call in. But so, what do you teach in your class? And when I'm going through the, I can either take advanced calculus or I can take, the outline of film in the 20th century or whatever the name of your class is.
I'm closer to that.
Okay.
No, I teach screenwriting. I teach film producing, different aspects of production, camera, editing, lighting, those kinds of things. So mostly like the craft classes on how to work in film.
All right. Now, do you get to watch movies in your film?
Yeah, that's part. The earlier classes, like the introduction to film class I teach, it's basically you watch a film a week. We talk about a different craft each week, and then the final project is to kind of, talk about how those crafts all work in the making of any kind of project, how you can use the different ones to influence.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Well, Al?
Yeah, well,
this is certainly an important cultural event in Danbury. What's your take on all this?
This is one of the big ones in Danbury. I'm quite happy that we have this film festival because I'm a big fan of films. And full disclaimer, I was a part of the Connecticut Film Festival last year. I was talking about online media and blogging. I was coming from a political perspective, but we had a whole smorgasbord of people up there talking about what they do in terms of blogging. And it's a lot different from me, but it just shows that when it comes to the online media or blogging, it's like a blank canvas. You can just draw anything you want to on there. So it was great to talk about blogging at the festival, and I'm going to be doing it this year. But let's get into the past of the film festival, because I don't think a lot of people really understand how long this whole entire festival has been around. And let's just talk about the history. So we can go back to the origins of the film festival.
Would you mind if I took this?
No.
Okay.
No.
The Film Fest started in 2005 as a Bethel Film Festival. And everyone's still, is it going to be at the Bethel Cinema? And that's the number one question. Hey, put on some weight. And then Tom created it as the Connecticut Film Festival. And Tom Carruthers, the executive director.
Okay.
Hey, Tom. And he took it around the state, different venues and theaters. We had a partnership one year with Bowtie Cinemas. And he really wanted to take it on the road and become like a big Connecticut representation with the film tax credit coming in and the jobs being created with it, and the film industry training program that Marty runs, that why not have an all-encompassing festival to showcase Connecticut to everyone else in the world, and vice versa, and the people who work here and work in the industry. And, and then 2006, 2007, the years keep flying by. I joined in 2008. This is my third year with them, and Marty worked last year with them as well.
Okay. Now, look, we call this the Connecticut Film Festival, but it has a lot more to do besides film.
Yes.
So can you explain a little bit outside of film what this festival entails?
Sure. I can take this. We have a number of events that deal with education. Very, very similar to the things that I do at Quinnipiac. You can come in for a class to learn how to write for a TV show at this festival. Right. And the people that you're going to be learning from are guys that have written for The Simpsons, guys that used to write for the Chris Rock Show. Like, these are real professionals, award-winning pros that are here. You can come in, if you're a musician, you can come in for events to learn how to put your own tour together. We have one of the women working with us, her name's Emily Morse. She's a musician out of New York City. She's originally from Bristol. And she actually tours on her own, puts everything together on her own. You think back to like Ani DeFranco or artists like that who really do everything, as their own business. That's what she does, and she's going to be giving a class on how to work with that. You can come in if you want to learn a little bit more about software. If you want to start making your own films, Dave's got events where there's actually going to be a side-by-side comparison of different types of software to write movie scripts with. So you can come in and get sort of an idea of where you think you should go to buy software to start off in. So really, we've got a lot of things covered.
Yeah, I think last year I went to one event that was being done. It was about compressing video to put it up on the internet, because I've been doing video blogging since since the creation of YouTube a few years back. But they showed me some nice little tricks on how to embed my video so I can get a higher quality output on YouTube. So that was a great help, and I learned a lot about video compression, different types of video compression, like the H264 versus the MPEG-4, and if you go to my website now, you see the videos like, wow, it looks really good, but you go back a few years ago and it looked a little crappy. So there's some stuff I even picked up at the event. This is somebody who's been doing this gig for a long time, so there's some really good stuff down there at that festival, and I hope that a lot of people take the opportunity to come on down and just see what's going on there, because you can always learn something there. And I think that's one of the great things about the film festival, is that it has a lot more to do outside of film. You know what I mean?
Well,
it also helps build it together. I mean, I run the digital and new media with my coordinator Joe Anino, and I got to do a shout out to Dax, Dan Barrera Computer Society, who's given us tremendous technical help and speakers. And Joe and I have built this amazing new media program that doesn't exist anywhere in the country. It does in bits and pieces, like 2 or 3 little prongs, but we put them all together in one room, and our presenters really like that. We have presenters from all over the country, and we focus on social media, music, advocacy, animation, and I feel like I'm missing one. I talk it so much?
No, for new, I think that's
yeah, I think
those are the
there's
big
a
ones.
prong in there somewhere. So we bring people from all over the country, and locally too. We have a lot of Connecticut folks this year, but we have a lot of intro classes for people in off the streets who want to learn basic things, all the way from intermediate to expert level.
Do you get into some of the? You talked about the roundtable discussion on the economic impact of film and what that brings. What do you talk about with that?
This is a very special event that we're doing on Wednesday night that week. With the tax credit that David talked about in the state of Connecticut for film, there's been a lot of job creation as a result of that. There have been companies that have moved in.
What are the nuts and bolts of that tax credit?
Basically, if you come in to the state of Connecticut and you produce a movie, a TV show, or a piece of digital media content, if you spend $100,000 or more on it, you're entitled to a tax rebate for a percentage of what you spent. So if you spend $100,000, you get 10% of it back in a tax credit. $500,000, you get 15% back, and $1 million or more, you get 30%.
Wow!
So what this is generally aimed for are the bigger feature films and television projects.
Has it been able to attract some? Are there?
Yes.
Like,
I think
what are some examples of
Deal or No Deal? It's done here in Connecticut.
That's in Waterford.
Waterford. The Steve Wilkos show, Jerry Springer, and Maury are down in Stamford right now.
Yep.
The Rich Forum.
There's other studios being built as we speak. The one in Windsor, the one in Stratford, maybe. You've got Blue Sky and Greenwich animators.
Animations. That's 300 jobs that moved here from White Plains as a result. Oh,
wow.
Okay, even more.
Wow.
And a slew of movies as well.
There was a point in 2000.
So this is a real job creator. I mean, if it's
it is. This, I'll give you a great statistic. In the summer of 2007, there were more films shooting in Connecticut than there were in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And I think we generated $700 million, and where years prior it was $1 million a year. But it went from just movies. It's an ever-evolving legislation. It was movies first, then it was movies and video games. Which we displayed event and entertainment, and Cromwell took advantage of the tax credit last year. And then there's also any production, any commercial, anything involved can get a rebate. And if the credits aren't used, you can actually sell them on the market, kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, a Republican came up with this in Hartford, didn't they? This whole legislation.
Well, yeah, Jim Maiman, in my opinion, is a Republican. So
who did it?
Jim Maiman.
Really?
Yeah, I would consider him a Republican.
What, it's like a Joe Lieberman kind of thing? You're disowning them sort of thing? Just
big
like
time.
All right, look, we need all the help we can get.
Hey, trust me, you can have them.
All right, but he came up with this idea, did he?
He was the
So you got to give him the props for that.
In fact, there's been a few times you can go up and down the streets of Danbury, you can see some cameras out there filming movies. I think Keanu Reeves did a movie, something about Pipoli that was within Danbury. Southbury was actually filmed where I was married at, up in Southbury. Parts of New Milford.
Stop and Shop?
Well, easy now. So yeah, there's been some. It's always strange to see. There's a camera filming in Danbury.
It was cool to see that on opening night of the film festival in 2008, where the film trucks for Pipoli were shooting right next to the Palace.
Yeah.
And the people running into the movie theater to watch opening night at the Palace reopening, and then having movie trucks and actors and actresses walking around. It's pretty cool.
Because I've heard that New York City, for example, I don't know if it is now, but in years past, it's been so expensive to produce movies in New York City that they'll go shoot the city scenes in like Vancouver or Quebec
or Bridgeport.
Toronto,
or Bridgeport,
and they'll just add a little graffiti or whatever and say it's Brooklyn or whatever.
Well, they shot a TV series for ESPN in the New London, Norwich area. They made it look like the Bronx.
Okay.
That was for a series called The Bronx is Burning for ESPN.
So really, this media and this venue is a economic force. And now I've heard, it could be just speculation, but what the heck? It's cable TV. We can do that. But are they going to continue to have the film festival here in Danbury? Is it a net cost to the town, or is it a net benefit to the city?
That's something I wanted to bring up with you guys. Now, I've been around since the creation of the film festival in terms of following the coverage down at City Hall, and it's kind of funny if you go to my website. I have a special section to the Connecticut Film Festival. You can watch videos of the Common Council ad hoc committee meetings and the debate going on in terms of funding the festival. You're getting less money than you did from last year, and a lot less than you got from 2 years ago.
For that?
Well, I wanted to get into that.
Right.
So, how are you? Before I get into that, how are you dealing with the less funding that you're getting from the city as well as from the state? How are you guys handling that?
Being more creative with our workforce and with what we can leverage from different people.
And getting paid less.
And getting paid less. We all took a pay cut.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to. I think it originally was a 3-year contract with the city, where we started with a $75,000, and then eventually wean yourselves off of city money so you can be self-sustainable. And I see that happening eventually. Yeah. This is the 3rd year of the project, but.
So you like it? You like the venues? Mayor Bowden has been friendly to you guys.
Yeah,
there's enough white wine and cheese and crackers at these events and things
shrimp
like
cocktail,
that.
Yeah.
Little shrimp cocktail, so everyone's being looked after and everything like that.
It's good to see the Common Council people out there and having a good time.
Okay,
it's really good to see them out and about in Main Street.
All right.
Not talking about Main Street, but being there.
All right.
Now, seeing that this is the last year you're being funded by the city of Danbury, and if I'm correct, last year Jason Bartlett was instrumental in getting a grant brought down here, the last-minute grant.
Where'd the grant come from?
From Jim Amon.
Oh, really?
There you go.
He wrote a check.
He wrote a check and did a wink. But what are you going to be doing next year? Because if I'm correct, the city most likely won't be funding this festival next year. Will it be in Danbury next year?
We plan to be in Danbury next year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how will you be able? Because we got 50, you're giving 50,000 this year.
Right.
So from 50,000 to 0 next year, it seems somewhat significant. Are you guys planning to make up that difference? Or?
One of the things that we've been looking at, and we've done a lot of work on it this year with the hope that it can pay dividends next year, is finding sponsorships with corporations.
Right.
And I know American Airlines is one that we've talked to quite a bit.
Right.
And the hope is that over the course of this year, we can show these sponsors what we can do, and then hopefully they'll want to come on board in the future and help to kind of bridge that gap.
Okay.
So without the city's money, this isn't a break-even situation. It's a
We hope it'll make something, but there's a lot of naysayers out there in the News Times blogs, and it's always like, they're making millions of dollars and lining their pockets, and it's very, it's BS is what it is. I mean, show me the money then if we are. I mean, but you want to make money, you want to provide a service for the city, you want to educate people, you want to create jobs, but no one's making millions of dollars in profits here.
Okay.
It's not like this gigantic moneymaker, a juggernaut. We're trying to do a good job, and we're trying to do as best as we can.
All right, now let's switch gears. I want to look at this thing from like 30,000 feet. Who's your favorite movie producer?
My favorite movie
director. Who do you like?
My favorite director would probably be a guy named Alexander Payne. He directed movies like Election and About Schmidt. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what, if you're teaching your students at Quinnipiac University, what do you say is the significance of film? The use of film. I'm going back to like World War II, and I know the Germans had film producers that would make these propaganda things, but it really moved millions of people to do some pretty terrible things. Social commentary, films. Even during the Clinton administration, Wag the Dog, making a statement. And then you just have, films that are just, comedies that are just meant to allow people to have a little bit of escapism and going to. What do you think? What do you see on a societal basis as a culture, the significance that film has?
I think film is to American culture now what the novel used to be. Because you look at what the technology is available now to people, it's easier than ever for people to make films. It's easier than ever for people to distribute films. I mean, we're at the point now where a person can make a movie on their own, distribute it on their own, online and in their local area, and literally, have their message distributed as wide and as far as they can based on the gumption that they have and the resources at their disposal. I mean, I think, film is the medium for our age. I really believe that's it.
So if someone was to walk in this studio with a T-shirt that says "Print is dead," would you agree with that?
No, I think print certainly has its place, but it's getting sleepy. It's not dead yet, but it's getting a little sleepy.
Really, it's getting a little old.
I think so.
Ready.
Yeah.
The internet, YouTube. Do you see these as valid venues for the independent guy with a camera to put something out?
They're the future. The Sundance Film Festival that happened this past January, they actually had an agreement with YouTube where, after the festival was done, certain films that world premiered there went directly to YouTube for distribution as soon as the festival was over. It's the first time a festival's ever partnered with a content producer like that. Yeah. Other festivals are doing this. There's one called South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. They have an agreement with the Independent Film Channel where certain films that world premiere at the festival immediately go to video on demand on IFC as soon as the festival's over. So there's sort of becoming a convergence between these distributors and these festivals as a way to get things out. We're actually trying that this year for the first time. We have a film called Burning Inside that's made by a filmmaker named Nathan Rand in East Haven. He has a distributor.
Is it appearing in this?
It will be at the film festival this year. This film is going to world premiere in Danbury and be available in video on demand that same day.
Wow. So
anybody who wants to see it can see it from wherever they are. So we're sort of taking that jump into the future with these other big guys too.
So that just opens it up to pretty much anyone can just.
Well, you can also use free software models to get your films out there. There's free software which doesn't cost anything, but it's called free and open source software, which means like your Mozilla Firefox browser is free and open source software where it's open. It's free because it doesn't cost anything, but the source code is open for anyone to make better all the time. You always have your Firefox you have to keep restarting it and getting newer, better models that work better, more efficiently. There's 5,000 applications out there for everything, for movie making. Cinderella is like the Final Cut Pro, Final Cut Studio, and it's free. You don't have to pirate a copy or get a cracked copy. There's Celtics, which is a free software for screenwriting and script production, and there's thousands of applications out there for people to use alternatives. It's not an us to them, corporate versus grassroots. It's an alternative choice out there for people who want to use it, who don't know about it, that it exists. There's actually one of the panels that we've actually cultivated a lot of our scheduling together, 8 classes of digital and social media with film education, so we can have a double attendance and we can each teach each other a little bit. So Richard Ezagara, who's our keynote speaker from the Electronic Frontier Foundation in San Francisco, is going to be showing how to make instant films. He's literally going to take content, create it right there on the spot, edit it down, and put it right on the web instantly on Miro, Miro.org, which is a free software platform for streaming and BitTorrents and other kind of things.
My question then, does the medium become too crowded?
Yes.
I mean, is it so
you have
crowded?
To be creative to get your voice heard. And Sib Law from Saxon Mills in Stratford, Connecticut, he has a great blog called The Rocket's Tale, and he's actually going to be showing people how to go viral, how to turn your projects into web gold, and how to get more people to hear it. And one of his guests and co-workers, Gary Plosky and Damian Diden, are going to be showing people on the film side how to do that as well.
Very interesting. Al, you have something?
Don't mean to jump off topic from this because this is a very good conversation we're having here. But let's just talk about the film festival impact on Danbury. A small criticism because, again, I've been following the festival for a while. The first year that the festival came out,
Al's a real killjoy. I don't know if you know that. Anytime people are getting together, they're seeing some intellectual films, they're feeling good about themselves. We're pretty far away from Hollywood. The wet blanket there has to
the guy
have
with
some
storm,
sort of
storm cloud over my
social
head.
commentary about it.
Here we go.
Sorry, go ahead.
Look, some of the criticism that the film festival well, maybe not you guys, but maybe more City Center Danbury, didn't reach out enough to play people along Main Street and White Street, and it just wasn't enough interaction with the local businesses around there in terms of like opening up shop to like, you know, film festival openings or stuff like that. Make a long story short, what is the film festival in City Center Danbury doing in terms of working with the local merchants along Main Street and White Street?
They have been actually better. It's also a two-way street. You know, they've been approached every year. Some just don't want to do it, but some think it's an excellent opportunity to rebrand. And last year we had them do menus in English and Spanish and try to attract more people, not just their own community. Some people are turned off by it. Some people aren't. Like Nico's was skeptical the first year. And the first year they had triple shifts working, you know, and they made
pizza slices.
Of course, they make amazing pizza and amazing food. A lot of the immigrant community, all the ethnic restaurants, like last year, City Center made a great made a great guide with all the restaurants and all the ethnic restaurants in the area to go to and how much it cost and a little walking map of Danbury, and it worked well. I mean, the restaurants picked up in business. You can only do so much,
right.
But it's gotten better and better each year. And we always promote our favorite ethnic restaurants downtown. I make sure to tell all my presenters where to go.
So you're saying like there's some feedback from local merchants that, hey, the film festival comes in and goes out, and you know.
I guess one of the things, if you're just in the past, if you're just an average, like you had me and you had my wife, and my wife is a perfect example because she's just average Jane Danbury, all right? I'm like, I know all the stuff that's going on in Danbury. She could care less. You know, she does her job, takes care of the kid.
Like my wife, too.
Yeah, takes care of the kid, puts her to bed, watch Dances with the Stars, and that's it. She's good. A little General Hospital and soap net at 10 o'clock. Hi. But I knew the film festival was in town. She didn't know when it was actually happening. And one of the reasons why she didn't know, because it wasn't enough of the film festival around Danbury. And one of the reasons why that wasn't that way is because some of the local merchants just didn't promote it. Like you go to the Tribeca Film Festival, you know what's going on because it's just all over the damn place. Right. So this just goes back to like politicizing or promoting the film festival around Danbury. And this can't be done alone by the film festival or by City Center Danbury. Everybody has to have a hand in this because we're all in this together, because if this is successful, this helps promote Danbury. And Danbury's been promoted some way in a negative light in terms of immigration and some of the bad stuff that comes with that. People forget that Danbury's a really, really nice city. And this is one of the great ways we can just promote the city, or maybe like one of the best ways we can promote it. So I just don't understand. I'm just hoping in the future we can get people on board.
Me too.
You know, because last year there was a great Brazilian movie that I saw. It was one of the major headliners on a Saturday night. Afterwards, I would have loved to go into a Brazilian restaurant and had like an after-show party at a like Can and Grill or something like that.
I was in the center today talking with Andre, and she was getting approached by some ethnic restaurants downtown who wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
So that was, you know.
Yeah, so
has attendance over the past 3 years, has it continued to grow?
Last year had 6,000 people. Yep. Yeah, 6,000.
No, the previous year to that was?
I think it was 4.
4. And so what are you hoping for this year? Just project it out.
No, we're hoping to, I don't know, 7 or 8 would be nice.
As long as we're growing.
The quality of the programming keeps going up, so why shouldn't attendance?
Are you familiar with the Locarno Film Festival? It's over in Switzerland.
I've heard of it.
It's like documentaries and stuff. I happened to, we were there, but it's really vibrant. I mean, it's very exciting. It had to do with a lot of documentaries. And I don't know, Dave, we have the one queued up, City Boy. When we're ready, in light of tonight's theme, which is all things having to do with the Connecticut Film Festival, we have a sample of a documentary that was up for an international Emmy by a wonderful filmmaker named Stefan Lambi. No, he's not Irish. He's from Germany. Stefan Lambi. And if we have this queued up, it's a documentary about a investment banker in the city. And the city in London is kind of like Wall Street is here. And just about his life and his debauchery and everything like that. And he was actually he had actually written he was writing anonymously in the paper, and then he finally came out, if you will. So we have a clip from City Boy, and I think it's ready to roll.
Jerry Anderson made money here for 12 years. Over those 12 years, the city changed and turned Anderson into a different person.
It's a bit weak.
His parents live in the upmarket suburb of Notting Hill. His father comes from a working class background. A lifelong supporter of the Labour Party, he became a Member of Parliament and today sits in the House of Lords. His son was given every opportunity. Geraint went to good schools and studied history at Cambridge. But his plans for the future were less than conventional.
After university, he went to India. He thought of becoming a trader in importing Indian textiles. We thought we'd possibly lost him to India as he loved India so much.
In the mid-90s, Geraint spent months travelling throughout Asia. A young man with a myriad of thoughts in his head. But not one of them was focused on a career. He had other ideals.
He always believed that you should do a job you love rather than one for money, that happiness is more important than money, that you should be able to express yourself and travel the world.
So that's just a little teaser. The film, it's a documentary film called City Boy. And, you know, if you want to have some fun, just go on YouTube and put in City Boy, because there's some interesting stuff with that. So we're going to try and play that in its totality. And then also we're going to have another clip in a minute about a documentary, a long sit-down interview with Henry Kissinger, another Connecticut resident, where this guy, Stefan Lambi, doesn't pull any punches. He wants to know details about dating life and everything else, the CIA, what the heck were you guys doing down in Chile, and whatever else was going on. You got Alexander Haig on there, and they had former President George W. Bush, who's on there as well. Is that ready to roll? I guess we're going to that.
Thank you. President on the line, sir. Hi, Henry. Mr. President. You in New York or Washington? No, I'm here. Oh, fine. Kissinger, go ahead. I'm just Mr. President.
A man with direct access to the President of the United States. A powerful man. How has he changed his country, and how has it changed him? We have an appointment with Henry Kissinger at his guest residence near New York. He wants to talk about his entire life in front of a camera for the very first time. In hard times, America trusts the counsel of wise men. These are special times when their wisdom is sorely needed. Men who have led in times of war. How should the nation react to the attacks of September 11th, 2001? President Bush receives Henry Kissinger. He wants him to help investigate the attacks. For many years, Kissinger was at home here. He made history here.
The president's got to be thinking strategically in order to shape events. And Henry Kissinger is a very good strategic thinker. He's made a career of being a strategic thinker. He's got a mind that works strategically. I see him regularly.
The U.S. attacks in Iraq, a faraway land. The war, a development. Should America withdraw? Again, President Bush calls on Henry Kissinger. His counsel, don't withdraw. The U.S. must win the war.
I think you can learn a lot from history. The key is for a president not to get stuck in the past. One can learn from an experienced hand about how to deal with today's current problems. And Henry Kissinger's had a lot of experience.
Henry Kissinger has had half a lifetime to reflect on the trauma of Vietnam, about how it all began back then, when the U.S. saw itself in a global war. The opponent was not fundamentalism. The enemy then was communism.
What led us into Vietnam was to apply globally the principles that had been successful in Europe. It was the theory that if you could stop communist aggression, you then could build democratic societies and you could stop communism. And there was also the theory that communism was determined to overthrow the non-communist world.
In the mid-60s, the U.S. government divided the world into friend and foe. There was a lot of talk about dominoes. One stone...
Well, there you have it. That's a documentary by famous documentary filmmaker Stefan Lambi out of Hamburg, Deutschland. And it was interesting as I was queuing up because the driveway that they were driving up was Henry Kissinger's house, his estate somewhere in Connecticut. Warren, Connecticut. And two members of the panel, Al Robinson and Dave Bonin, were both at the estate. They were out on the protest line, saying whatever, down with Bush.
I was a journalist. I couldn't say
war criminal,
things like that. I happened to be at that event, but I wasn't protesting. I was there and
watching the rocket with Bush riding it.
Yeah, got the not so much the rocket. I did see that. That was cool. But Bush coming down on dual helicopters, and you know what they flip a coin. The Secret Service does to decide which helicopter they're going. I thought that was kind of interesting.
How much did they cost the U.S. taxpayers for that whole shindig?
About as much as it cost for Obama to President Obama to go out to...
He did a write-off on the whole thing because he went to the north end of Hartford to talk about malaria and...
No. The north end of Hartford he went to give some sort of award for boys clubs, actually. And Terry Hughes.
Book club or something.
It could have been. It was about as much as it cost for President Obama to come up here and do a fundraiser for your guy Jim Himes, which I think he did. Or no, maybe that was Pelosi.
Maybe was that Laura Bush doing something for David Cappiello?
That was horrible.
Was that in Danbury?
What, recently?
Last year when he was trying to get some money and...
Last time around?
Oh, he had to retire some debt?
Just like the thing he did with Kissinger and Cappiello.
Yeah, by the way, how did that all work out for Dave Cappiello with the president in town and stuff like that?
Even Kissinger couldn't come up with it.
Jeez. I mean, what is it about that city? Because I don't think President Obama did much good for the guy running in Virginia, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, he came in and did pull rallies.
Was Obama on the ticket during that time?
No, but Bush wasn't on the ticket either. Dave Cappiello was
on the ticket. Dave Cappiello got his ass hit.
They say the healthcare industry. She's a lobbyist.
I'll do that. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, before that, in 2006, when your buddy was in office, Nancy Johnson got her tail kicked by Chris Murphy on every single voting machine in Danbury.
That was awesome.
Nice.
Well, go ahead, let's digress back to the film.
It does happen, but it is interesting that
speaking of Nancy Johnson,
my co-host was at the event. He was out on the protest line. I was in having the aforementioned cheese and crackers. But this is a good documentary, I'm telling you. He asked a lot of questions about Henry's dating life back in the 70s, and they have footage, and it's pretty intense.
Bohemian Grove, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's actually the Bechtel Corporation, right? They go out there and they have dances, and all the guys get together and they divide up all the money. And George Schultz worked for Bechtel Corporation.
I have a friend whose friend used to be a maitre d' there and have access to all the drugs and weird things that they invented there, and all the CEOs of the corporations go out there to do debauchery for a week and then get forgiven of their sins.
It is a pretty weird
We have inside video of it, too, actually. I've seen it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
See, that needs to get out.
Because Bohemian
Grove,
make a documentary next year.
For those of you that aren't familiar with Bohemian Grove, it's kind of like a grown man's sleepover camp in some sort of mountains outside of San Francisco. But, I mean, these guys are the Prime Minister of Deutschland, and Ronald Reagan would go there, George Schultz would go there, and it's all hosted by this company called the Bechtel Corporation. And Bechtel built all these refineries in the Middle East and stuff like that, and essentially they got all this international money. Like if the United States decided, well, we need the oil, so these sheiks are our best friends, and we're going to put billions of dollars to, get the refineries going. Well, these guys would go in and, build it. They built the Alaska pipeline, or part of that as well. But it is kind of a weird sort of thing, It's like frolicking in the woods and singing songs around the campfire, with George Schultz and Ronald Reagan. But anyways, so those documentaries are going to be coming up: City Boy and Henry Kissinger, and we got some other stuff. Now, we were talking just a little bit. part of the film festival has a donation to nonprofit component to it. And as a matter of fact, the key film you want to go is on May 6th at the Palace Theater, which is right on Main Street, and the film is called The Baker, and it's about, a hitman that turns to baking muffins or something like that, which is it's a good film. But the benefits of that will go to the aforementioned Bethel Public Library. So how does that work? Each film has... Yeah,
go ahead. We look for different people each year to partner with. It's a community outreach thing. We have 4 nonprofits this year. I don't remember them because I'm a little tired of working hard hours. Thanks, Tom. So we got the Bethel Public Library on Tuesday. We have a different one on Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday is Ability Beyond Disability in Berkshire Corporate Park. And there's it's.
And do you know who that benefits to?
Yeah, Ability Beyond Disability. It benefits everyone, the community, the people who they serve. It benefits the city as a whole. Basically, we partner with them. They sell the tickets. There's wine and hors d'oeuvres and a film screening, and everyone gets to make money. But it's more importantly, everyone makes connections, and we all enjoy hanging out.
And by the way, there's a reception
with everyone's. Yeah.
And actually, what we're going to do is, if anyone calls in, the phone number again is 792-4101. You have a pair of tickets to the event of your choice.
Callers will get one ticket each.
First 10 callers. We don't even know if there are 10 viewers, let alone 10 callers. This isn't exactly WLS radio, but no, I'm joking with you. I'm sure there are 10 callers because there's my wife. Well, your wife, Dancing with the Stars. Is that tonight?
15 minutes of John
15 minutes.
Get it, man.
But 792-4101, if you'd like to have a pair of free tickets to the film of your choice, we can make that arrangement. So,
and you can go to ctfilmfest.com.
Filmfest.com.
Now, real quick, before you fix it, you guys are, besides the website, ctfilmfest.com, I'm quite sure since you're in the high-tech age, you have a Twitter, you have a Facebook.
Hold on one second.
So you have all that stuff, too. So if anybody wants to, if anybody's on, because a lot of people do Facebook now, so you can just go to Facebook, type in Connecticut Film Festival.
Yeah, CT Film Fest Education, CT Film Fest
New Media,
Music.
And the Writers on Block program.
Caller, are you there?
Yeah, hi, this is Dave from Danbury.
Dave, thanks so much for calling. Now, Dave, as a resident of Danbury, have you availed yourself of the cultural opportunity of the Connecticut Film Festival in years past?
Yes, I have, and as a matter of fact, I was there at the first City Hall meeting. I think it was the night that they had the immigration,
Sounds like Kevin Gallagher.
the big rally about immigration. I think the first topic was the gentleman, trying to get funds from the city of Danbury. Do you remember that night?
No, I was home watching a Blackhawks game at that time, but I'm sure it was very good. I'm just kidding you. All right, so how do we get this guy's name without putting it out over the air?
Write it down and pick up the phone.
Yeah. Okay. Dave, can you hold on 1 second?
Yeah, no.
All right, we'll put you on hold and they'll get your name there. Congratulations on getting the tickets. Hold on.
All right, thanks very much.
All right, I'm just kidding about the whatever. All right. Call you there. All right, so we're giving away tickets.
We also have Twitter feeds on every page. If you go to ctfilmfest.com, there's a film, music, and digital tab, and each Twitter feed is at the bottom. So you can stay in contact with us through there.
Yeah, so you're definitely big time on Facebook.
Oh, hell yeah.
Big time on Twitter. In fact, a little bit about hashtags, I think.
We have hashtags on there.
So if let's say I'm on Twitter. If I say something about Connecticut Film Festival, I do a hashtag. What should I say after that?
CTFF.
Yeah, pound CTFF.
Or pound CTFF New Media if it's dealing with a particular event, or CTFF Education, whichever.
All right.
Yep.
Or CT Film Festival, which is Tom's account.
Okay, great.
and Al speaking again this year.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, caller, you're on the air. Do you have a question for our
Through
guest?
the website.
Why don't you say that next year?
I'm excited about the film festival. I think it's great to see the Danbury. I know that the Tribeca Film Festival is next week, and I'm looking forward to the exposure, like you guys were talking about, getting more people involved and getting the ethnic community involved in the restaurants and just all the area restaurants and businesses down in Danbury get more involved.
Absolutely. Now, so have you attended the film festival in the previous years?
Yes, I have.
And what if someone's considering going out and being involved? What can they anticipate having happen? Is it like going to a movie at Lowe's Theater out by the highway, or is it a little bit different?
No, it's a little bit different. So, I'm a long-time Danbury resident. I grew up in Bethel and Brookfield and now live in Danbury. So I've been a long-time resident of the area, and I can remember going to movies back, Battles of Britain at the Palace Theater back years ago, and it's really nice to see, the area, that theater, as a historic place, and not only that, but some of the other venues that the shows are being shown at. It's good for the area. It's good for Danbury, and it's good for the state. Like the gentleman was saying, they're getting more and more, the bigger films coming in and taking advantage of the bigger tax credits. I think that's going to bring more publicity to the state.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant move. Absolutely brilliant. Well, thanks a lot. Hold the line. We're going to get your name, and I'm going to unilaterally say we're going to get an extra pair of tickets for you, too.
Thanks, Marty. You're a good friend. I know you from Walnut Hill, and it's nice seeing you on TV. I watch every now and then.
There you go. Friend from Walnut Hill. That's a good thing. All right, thanks a lot. Hold the line. We'll get you some free tickets. I'm really good at giving away other people's stuff. I'm almost like a Democrat that way, but hold the line. Hold the line. Ouch! I shouldn't have done that. Okay. I want to go through each of these films, and I want you guys to play, what is it, Ebert and...
Before you do, I have to say, besides I like your tie, is seeing a film at Lowe's theaters is just not a good experience. I mean, it's not knocking Lowe's. It's just, it's not intimate. It's cookie cutter. It's not independent. Having an independent film at a cookie cutter place isn't my kind of time. I mean, coming to the Connecticut Film Fest, you have the actors and the film crew coming, flying in on their own dime and staying at hotels and restaurants and hanging out with people, and there's no talk down to it. It's all, everyone's there together for the same purpose. And it's more enjoyable.
Yeah, and I mean, actually, after you watch the film, on many of these venues, the actual director and producer of the film walk out and they answer questions, and you can have, I mean, that to me is pretty neat.
Speaking about intimate surroundings and stuff, I think one of the cool things about the film festival is that it utilizes the Palace Theater. Yeah. And I'm compared to like lifelong Danburyans, I'm pretty new to the area. I moved here back in 1987, but back then the Palace Theater was a triplex theater. You can see movies upstairs and two downstairs. And ever since the place closed up, it was just a huge disappointment because I used to love going to the Palace Theater. And it's great to see that the film festival is utilizing the Palace. So just real quick, you just tell me, what are your thoughts about the Palace Theater, using it as the centerpiece for the festival?
Well, I think it needs to be because it's a big part of the city's history. So wherever a festival or any other cultural event can tie into historical pieces that have a lot of meaning to the town, it just gives the whole event more weight. So I think that's something we really took a look at. And with the different venues that we have around town, that also is the biggest. So you have that as where we have our biggest events there. So I mean, it really just makes sense to try to use it however we can.
Yeah. And hopefully, as time goes on, and hopefully, no disrespect to Mr. De Silva, hopefully things will get straightened out. That more of the Palace will be renovated. So hopefully, one year the whole bottom.
A nonprofit and getting it back to single screen glory and taking out the walls and all that. So
really, so top floor and everything.
Have you seen what they did?
That'd be amazing.
Have you gone to the Ridgefield Playhouse?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen something there? They did a nice job with that.
Well, Joe actually put money into a feasibility study out of his own pocket. Like, I think the state committed.
State committed some coins.
He gave $10,000 of his own money to do it.
In that auditorium, Ridgefield, that had gone to seed, but there was a group in the town that wanted to see it happen, and the town came up with $750,000. The group raised $2 million, and they made it into a gem. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you had a question for the guest?
No. He'd already spoke to me, but you put me on hold. And
well, listen, thanks for calling back. Or what you doing? We're going to get your information. Hold on one second.
You got some.
Caller, you there?
Got some committed callers. Jeez.
Okay, hold on. We have a German on the line. He's speaking German. Go right ahead.
Speaking Franz again. Call from Bethel. Let me stand up for Alphonse. I think you should open up the show with that thin Kissinger entrance there with the 2/3 of his face facing the camera.
Now, do you have any questions regarding the film festival? That's the topic for tonight.
I can hear you. I'm a film man myself. Listen, what were you guys protesting? What were you protesting up there at Kissinger's estate for?
Well, basically anything having to do with George Bush, you know, if there any problems, they just, you know.
Dave, how many people died under Bush's war? How many of them?
Nobody died at the Connecticut Film Festival, though, and that's a great...
I'd like to, I'll be there.
All right. Thanks, bud. Thanks for calling. All right, I want to go through these like the lightning round here.
Go for it.
I was reading some of these things. We have The Wrecking Crew. Give me a synopsis of it and what we can hope to learn from The Wrecking Crew. That's one of the films.
Yep, fabulous documentary. It's about a group of musicians, studio musicians from the 50s and 60s who did the studio work for a lot of bands like the Monkees and things like that. Really made...
I didn't even know the Monkees had a studio.
They did. They had a whole team of studio musicians that did all their work for them, and they created a lot of the tunes that you think of, that people from that age think of as the music of the age. Nobody ever knew who they were.
Kind of like the Funk Brothers. You know that? Funk Brothers? They did the same thing, but for all the R&B and for all the Motown. They were the backup band for every Motown artist in sax. Known as the Funk Brothers. They still perform today, and they're in their 70s, 80s, and 90s.
So this is kind of a behind-the-scenes, anonymous group, and you get to know them and what they went through, and it's full of music, and you'll know the songs.
Over 100 songs are in this film.
Well, and the name of it again is The Wrecking Crew.
Yep.
Interesting title. Okay, then we have The Baker, which, by the way, buy pansies. Go see this movie. It's all in benefit of the Bethel Library. Even though print is dead and we're all going to film, there's still a few books left over, and it's all at the Bethel Library. So The Baker, this is the one I'm going to go see. But tell me a little bit about that, about a hitman that does what?
A hitman who moves to a small British village to kind of let things, you know, kind of fade out after a job that he does. And in order to keep his identity private, he becomes the baker in the small town, despite knowing nothing about baking at all. And people in town slowly start realizing what his original job was, so he gets kind of caught between those two worlds. And there's a girl involved, and it's a very funny film.
Very funny. So it's a comedy.
Yep.
And you'll like it, and it'll be a good film. Age-old story. Hitman turns baker.
It's like We Are No Angels.
It's been done, but you know.
We Are No Angels. Robert De Niro, Sean Penn, Demi Moore, big guy. What's his name? Brian Dennehy. The remake of the original, and you know, something like that. Probably better.
All right. Now this one caught my eye. 10 Mountains in 10 Years, and it's filmed over 6 continents.
I only know it because I entered it and put the pictures up on the website. So I believe it's 6 men or 10 men who.
Well, it says chronicles the epic of an international team of mountain climbers who are climbing 10 mountains on 6 continents in a decade to raise awareness for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. So that's basically it.
Yeah, you just said it. Thanks.
Okay, no, I honestly, the internet's a beautiful thing.
I was going to say all that, but it was going to come out a little different.
Okay, have you seen the film? You can be honest. This is television, and you have, but it looks good. If you like this kind of thing, you know, climbing mountains and so forth. I mean, I love it. I eat this stuff up, like Discover Channel. You know, the 3rd day on Everest, and the Sherpa was, you know, losing oxygen, and we had to go. You know, I love that stuff.
Tauntaun carcasses.
I could sit there in my house and like eat chips and watch a triathlon and just, you know.
How about Pop Chips? They're going to be at the film festival giving out free samples.
Is that right?
Yes,
yeah,
they
Pop
will
Chips is giving us, I think, 700 bags of chips for our swag bags for the presenters.
Very good.
And so is Molten Java. Wendy's giving 200 awesome magnets.
There you go. Magnets, chips, films.
Local branding.
How can you miss it? All right, Connecticut Student Film Festival. Is this some work of any of your students? Or?
Not of my students. These are actually films made by Connecticut high school students.
Oh, really?
And each year there's a competition. Last year it was held in Hartford up at the Convention Center. And this year they're bringing it down to Danbury. So we're going to have, it's a 4-hour event on Friday from 4:30 to 8:30. 10 Connecticut high schools submitted films that were created over a 4-day span, talking about, all covering the theme of one person can make a difference. And I believe there's 3 projects from Danbury High School, East Haven, Torrington, Berlin, New Haven, all over the state.
Now, I know you're a college professor, but any of your students from Quinnipiac, what do they call it? Screening? Is that the right term?
Yes.
Okay. Will they be screening any of their work?
We don't have any Quinnipiac students screening work. However, one of my former students is actually preparing to direct his first feature. And he'll be here as a speaker on one of the educational events that we'll be having.
Very good.
No, real quick, since we're on the topic of students here somehow, one of the cool things about the film festival this year that I didn't like last year is that now we're having this film festival in May, so college students who at WestCon can come down and enjoy the film festival.
What are you doing?
What are you doing in terms of enticing some of the students to come in? Got discounts for students?
We've actually done a lot of outreach with the performing arts departments at WestCon. Some of the events that we're having in association with the Writers on Block program includes casting actors to be part of readings of scripts. So we've been to WestCon already. We actually have a Western Connecticut student working with us to help get the word out about that. And we've talked to the communications department because we want to get them involved. There's a 24-hour film competition that we're having on Friday night to Saturday night where you make a 3-minute movie in 24 hours using Danbury locations. So we're trying to get kids to come out from there to be a part of that too.
Cool.
So we are working in those ways.
And Dr. William Joel at the WestCon Animations Department is teaching 2 classes for new digital media, like he did last year. So it's always good to have a connection. Ken Steen from the University of Hartford, Hart School, will be coming and teaching and presenting his multimedia audio-video installation and teaching some software classes.
Excellent. Okay, well, listen. I'm getting the high sign. We got to wrap this up, but this has been fun. I really appreciate you coming in very much. I think it's a wonderful event. I think it's great that the government is working with this whole industry to try to get jobs into the state. Heaven knows we need it. We're considered business unfriendly, but not in this case. We're business friendly, and I really appreciate what you're doing.
And what's that website again?
That website again is
ctfilmfest.com.
And for those of you that called in and I promised you the tickets, he's going to deliver. That's how this works. We have your address. He's in the book. You can hunt him down. So Al Robinson, thanks for being here again. Dave Bonin and Marty Lang, thank you so much for joining us. And join us again next week on Ideas at Work and Beyond, when we'll be looking at City Boy, Henry Kissinger. There's really no telling. But we will know if the Blackhawks are continuing in the playoffs. That will be settled. So join us next week. Same time, same station. Good night.